All right, instant reaction on that dreadful mess between the Vikings and the Bears. Well, there is a direct correlation between quality of quarterback play and quality of game. Justin Fields against Josh Allen, fantastic. Trevor Lawrence against C.J. Stroud, pretty damn entertaining. Joshua Dobbs and Justin Fields, dreck. At this point, Justin Fields is auditioning for another job. So he's not consistently productive enough, doesn't consistently win enough, isn't consistent enough, isn't consistently healthy enough to pass on Caleb Williams, who is a better prospect than Justin Fields is or was. And you also get to restart the clock. It's not hard. There's no reason to continually capitulate. Those two fumbles by Justin Fields, almost every pass, he had one big pass, maybe two the entire game down the field. Everything's like near the line of scrimmage. I think, one of the things, my takeaway is I don't consider Minnesota to have, a world-class defense. I don't think he sees the field terribly well. And by this time, you need to. Some guys walk into this league and they have it figured out very quickly and some don't. And C.J. Stroud's a great example of you got it or you don't. And he has a very shaky run game, a rookie defensive coach, a first-time play caller, pretty average, the below-average roster. And he sees the field, lets it rip, and delivers the ball accurately. Some have it, some don't. So I think Justin Fields is talented enough to garner like a second or a third-round pick, put him on an offensive staff with some weapons like Atlanta. He's from Georgia. I think it'd be fun to watch. I'd watch. This is more of a defensive culture. I mean, Matt Eberflus may not be your favorite coach or mine, but the Bears have the number one run defense in the league. I don't think they have the best run personnel in the league. I don't think they have as good a defensive personnel as Baltimore, San Francisco, Philadelphia, but they're the number one run defense in the league. That goes on Matt Eberflus's resume. Whether they keep him or not, he's a defensive coach and has shown some stride, some real growth on the defensive side of the ball. I do think Justin Fields would be better served with an offensive coach and an offensive-leaning culture. Atlanta with Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, pretty good O-line. Weaker division, perhaps. But, Justin Fields is auditioning. There's no reason to capitulate. There's only two types of quarterbacks who usually end up raising trophies. Stars. Justin Fields is not that. Or very, very talented rookie quarterbacks or very, very, very talented young quarterbacks on a rookie deal. And you got to make a decision here pretty quick if you're going to pay Justin Fields or not. And again, they're just not consistent enough, doesn't throw the ball down the field accurately, consistently enough. No reason to argue about it. But good enough, talented enough to get a second shot. There's 9-10 teams every year that are looking for a quarterback. Never forget those numbers. Over 50 quarterbacks on average play in the NFL now. You need quarterbacks. You need talent in the building. And he's a big kid that runs well, can make plays. But, in a strange way, winning, because Chicago's going nowhere, does them no favors tonight. They want to have, they're going to get Carolina's pick. So they're going to take Caleb Williams. And you'd like that other pick, to be somewhere in the 5-6 range. So you can get, they don't need a left tackle. They could probably use, there's one great rush end. Matt Eberflus, I could see them if he retains his job and the GM retains his job going after a defensive player. But we know there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks that are going to go early. Marvin Harrison's going to go early. There's 2 offensive tackles that are going to go early. And 1 or 2 defensive players. So he's auditioning. That's fine. But there's no reason to go back and forth on it, right? At this point, consistency, health, production, wins, just not enough of it. It's okay. It's okay. The average NFL draft gives us 1 big-time quarterback annually. That's about it. You have the occasional rare 2 guys hit. There's been a few historically, 3 do, and there's been several where none hit. But it's about 1 a year, and that's now. You would think it would be more, and I do think the Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels LSU class. It's pretty good. That's a pretty good class. I can see 2 guys hitting. But very rarely do you have a player, and I think Caleb Williams could be the exception, Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence, good enough to overcome some early chaos. I don't think Justin's there. And I think we all know it. All right. So he's auditioning. Caleb Williams will be the guy. And Caleb's a better player. Sees the field better, just as athletic, more accurate thrower on a consistent level. We'll see. But yeah, I don't trust Chicago to do the right thing. I mean, I've said this before, they've been around for 100 years as a franchise. They've never had one great, consistent quarterback for any duration, which is, you can't even get your arms around that. They've never done it. I mean, at least the Lions had Matt Stafford for over a decade. I mean, you look at Washington, they had Sonny Jurgensen, they had Joe Theismann. Washington's won multiple Super Bowls, multiple quarterbacks with Joe Gibbs. Doug Williams won a Super Bowl. Chicago it was Rex Grossman for 5 minutes, Jay Cutler for a few years. They don't do quarterbacks very well. It's a defensive culture. They're still living off the 85 Bears. But I do think maybe in the 70s, 80s, Justin Fields would get another year in Chicago, but that's not the way the world works anymore. In the NBA, the games can change in an instant, but no matter how the action unfolds, do you know that DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered? This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets by just betting $5 on basketball. How good of a deal is that from DraftKings Sportsbook? Win or lose, you get the instant W. Instant. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Please use the code Colin, COLIN. New customers, $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5. The code is Colin, COLIN, only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app, code Colin. The crown is yours. Listen, we've all had fender benders in our life. Sometimes it's even more serious. But even if it's somebody else's mistake, you can lean on Morgan & Morgan. It's the nation's largest injury law firm. 100 offices and over 800 lawyers. With over $15 billion, that's a B, billion dollars recovered, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting for you to get full and fair compensation. Submit an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan. It's really, really easy. It's almost like a quarterback, an offensive head coach, and a GM that gets some good weapons makes their life easier. We all need somebody, good or bad days, to make our life a little easier. That's what Morgan & Morgan does. If you're ever injured, check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Colin or dial #LAW, that's pound 529 from your cell phone. This is a paid advertisement. David Tepper firing Frank Reich. I have talked about this and about the low hit rate on quarterbacks in the NFL. And I think a lot of it is the business side of the NFL. All these owners are now billionaires. So they look at a coaching contract where they owe a coach $70 million, $60 million, $50 million. It's a rounding error. It wasn't when owners were making, $25 million a year and had a net worth of $400 million. They would not just write off a coach after 12 games, 13 games. But now these guys are all worth $6 billion, $14 billion, $20 billion. David Tepper is, I think, first or second, third richest owner. He's just going to write it off. And so what happens is Bryce Young now gets another coordinator, another staff, another system, and that will stunt the growth of Bryce Young. And I think part of why all these young quarterbacks, Tom Brady talked about the league, football's not as good as it was years ago because there was more stability. It's hard enough to be a quarterback in this league. I mean, Bryce Young, he got a new coach, new system, new coordinator, new quarterback coach. He's not even through year one. They're already got rid of their guy. And so I think when something is hard to do, franchise quarterback play in the NFL, and then you add chaos and change to it, makes it twice as tough. So, when Tom Brady said, quality of play in the NFL is worse, ownership is richer, more impatient, more meddling, more impulsive, more willing to make radical and quick changes, which makes it harder to quarterback. It doesn't make it harder to be a good running back or a good corner or a talented left tackle. But quarterback is all about coaching and system and momentum and protection and chemistry and choreography. And if you're constantly changing coordinators, I've said this about Justin Herbert. He's on his third coordinator and his second head coach. What is he in year 5? It's a lot of change. And it just makes it really difficult. So I think there's a direct correlation to quality of quarterback play and quality of football. And a great example, I think a really great example of this is CJ Stroud. Nobody wanted to watch the Texans the last 7 or 8 years, 6 or 7 years. CJ Stroud, now they play Jacksonville this weekend. Highly entertaining. Highly entertaining. Russell Wilson gets the right coach. I like watching the Denver Broncos now. Young, tough defense. They can throw the ball. They run. They power run it. They've got Mims. They've got Jerry Jeudy. They got Cortland Sutton. They have capable tight ends. I like their running backs. Denver, all of a sudden, same roster as last year, but the quality of quarterback efficiency's gone up. Broncos are now a fun watch. Broncos are like, okay, they can move the chains. They've won 5 straight. It's all the same players that 6 weeks ago. It's all the same players last year, except the left tackle's here and healthy. But I don't think the quality of play is worse in the NFL. I think the impatience of owners and the constant influx of change has made it harder to be a franchise quarterback as a young quarterback. And that's what it looks like. Dreck, uneven, inefficient. It's not good. But when you get good quarterback play, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, it's great television. It's fantastic television. I went to watch Bo Nix. I went to watch Bo Nix, Oregon, play Michael Penix, Washington. It's one of the best college games I've ever been to. I watched Matt Leinart, USC, play Vince Young, Texas years and years ago. It's one of the best college games I've ever seen. So, you can have the world's greatest athletes. New England with Brady, defensive culture, couldn't turn them off. Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, unwatchable. Simple as that. Football's not worse. Impatience is at an all-time high, top down. Puts pressure on the coach, the quarterback, the coordinators. It's not good. Carolina, embarrassing, not good.